Welcome back to the Super Not Funny Show Reviews. And today I'm reviewing Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 7. It's entitled Those Old Scientists. It's come to you from Paramount Plus. So, what I think about it, and should you be watching? Before we get into the review, get down there, hit like on this video. We found out about this a year ago, and I thought this could be amazing or it could be a disaster. But probably going to be amazing because they decided to cross over Star Trek Strange New Worlds and Star Trek Lower Decks. Lower Decks being the animated show that created by Mike McMahon, and it's a comedy. It's a comedy about the lower deckers and the shenanigans they get up to. And I thought, how are they going to do this? Well, obviously time travel. So we get a time travel, another two time travel episodes in the same season. What a thing. We get Jack Quaid and Tawny Newsome, and in their voice only roles, they get to play the live action versions of themselves as Brad Boimler and Beckett Mariner. And can I tell you, I love the idea that we're gonna get animated into live action and vice versa. We'd absolutely get this in this. You see the Star Trek Strange New Worlds crew in animation. You get the animated opening sequence, and we also get, of course, the live action version of the Lower Decks people. It all revolves around the Lower Decks crew going down to it would be a portal, an inactive portal, and of course some stuff happens and it gets activated, and Boimler, who is a huge Star Trek nerd, you can take Brad Boimler as essentially a Star Trek nerd in Star Trek itself, and he essentially gets pulled back into the past, to the Enterprise, and he's a huge nerd of the Enterprise and Captain Pike and everything. But he also knows he's time traveling, and he's a big rules nerd also, so he knows he can't really change the past. Well, too late, you're in the past, you're going to change the past. That's just the way it happens. So you get to see him nerding out over meeting all these different legendary people, right? And the crew of the Enterprise, they're so much more serious. Remember, or if you don't know, Boimler, he serves on a small ship. He served on a California class ship. He's not. If you think Star Trek's the best of the best, then being on a flagship is the best of the best of the best. And so he's serving with, again, people who have legendary careers, and try not to tell them too much about that they had legendary careers, because this is way before then. And you find, I loved all the Strange New Worlds cast really playing as bemused / slightly annoyed at having to kind of deal with Boimler's not nerding out, but like fanboyism and his weird, his weird energy they bring to it. They're so much more serious. And Jack Quaid, shout out to him for just like being Boimler, because we're used to hearing his voice. We're not used to seeing him physically be Boimler, and the work he put in to make sure he was that way, physically acting like Boimler, all the tics, all of the mannerisms, just absolutely on point. Seeing him nerd out, but also sort of be, have his, his ideas or his imagination about these people sort of be tempered by reality. At the same time, they are trying to figure out how to deal with, the fact that there's this portal. They don't know how to, they need to figure out how to reactivate it. Oh, and there's Orions. Because earlier, Boimler sort of argued with Tendi, who was an Orion, about whether or not that portal had been discovered by Orions or by Starfleet. And so that comes into play where his, in the past, in the time of the Strange New Worlds, Orions are largely viewed as pirates, and in fact, they suspect that they were out in that area near the portal to kind of help people who they suspect were raided by Orion pirates. But this is supposed to be a science vessel, and so Boimler's kind of there to, prevent. He in a way he sort of changes the past, but to say, hey, these could be just a science vessel. Don't shoot them. And it does matter in the past because of Tendy's relationship to someone who's on that particular ship. And so because Boimler, you think he's a rules guy, but he actually goes around breaking a lot of rules. He cannot, for the life of him, stop telling them about the future. Nothing he says can stop telling them about the future, and you can tell that shit gets really old to the people on the Enterprise real quick. And so as they go on, they're trying to figure out how can we do this? Let's recreate this. Let's take them back down there. We'll do this again, and we'll trade all this grain we had for the to help these people out that got raided. We'll get the portal back. We'll send them back. He'll be out of our hair. Yay. But of course, it can't be that simple, because as soon as they activate the portal, here comes Mariner. And Mariner on lower decks is just chaos. She doesn't respect the rules. She does respect the rules, but she breaks them and tries to figure out where to bend them. She kind of does her own thing. She talks out of line. She kind of takes the piss out of things. And Boimler's her boy. That's her best friend. And of course, she's gonna ride or die for him. She's gonna come there and get him. But of course, as soon as she comes through the portal, portal's got to close. We don't have any more of this element that's absolutely necessary. Which just, to me, is just an excuse to have Mariner be on the Enterprise and just absolutely cause all sorts of foolishness. Tawny Newsome, I liked her a lot in this. I'm not gonna say loved, and it's only for one reason. One of my only real negatives about this episode is that Mariner on lower decks is just, she's chaos. Not and like controlled chaos sometimes, but she does her own thing. Like, she's literally fought with Klingons, and she's gambled with Ferengi. She's just done all sorts. She's done all sorts of Indiana Jones shit. She does all sorts of stuff like that. And she's somewhat subdued on this one. I don't know why. I just really wanted to see her and La'an throw fists or something, because she can really fight. I kind of wanted to see her. There was a bit where they were going to go steal a shuttle to try to get the grain back that was traded for that thing, and they get found by La'an. I really wanted them to go on that mission, because that's a Mariner thing to do. But also, that's that aside, that bit, I did love seeing her interact with Uhura, because that's one of her personal heroes, Mariner's personal heroes. And in real life, Tawny Newsome, one of her favorite characters is Uhura, and she's also a big fan of Celia Rose Gooding. So seeing them interact, Uhura being real serious and not the person that Mariner thought. She was a lot less buttoned down, a lot more laid back. But this is earlier in her career. And watching them two on screen, just fun. There's also, Tawny Newsome absolutely nails the fact that Mariner does a lot of side talk. She really sort of shit talks in front of people's faces about, like, there's a bit where the guy's like, oh, our Officer Tendy, and he's like, yeah, I already said that. It's like this guy doesn't listen. Well, I loved it. That's a Mariner thing. It's so good. I also like that she kind of tries to get her and Uhura and Ortega's kind of shit face. I love the fact that Ortega's is a lot more involved in this episode. I think, unfortunately, she's been a little sidelined in this series, and I feel like I wanted to see more of that. But she's the perfect person for this crossover, because she's a lot less buttoned down. She's more fun loving, and just she runs with the idea like, oh, we're gonna throw a surprise party for the captain. That's the sort of person she is. So Ortega's gets a lot more to do in this one. We also get to see that number one is just weirded out by how much that Boimler is kind of like I don't want to say has a thing for her, but he seems real, nervous or like hero worshiping around her. And to find out that it's because she is the reason why he went into Starfleet, that Ad Astra Aspera is something that recruited him into Starfleet. That's a hero. And there's even a callback to that whole recruitment poster where Ransom's like, oh man, she's the hottest executive officer, which is kind of a nod to the fact that Jerry O'Connell is married to Rebecca Romaine, and them kind of giving props to each other within the thing. Very fun stuff. There's a lot of real fun and funny stuff, like Boimler is, Spock is his idol, getting to meet a young version of his idol when he is in the midst of kind of like a bit of a transition, being a little more human than expected, smiling weirdly. It just kind of weirds Boimler out, even to the point where he mentions it to Chapel, and explaining how he's not like that in the future, and kind of giving Chapel an idea that maybe they don't stick around too long. And seeing that kind of the evolution of that relationship between Chapel and Spock through the eyes of Boimler, very, very cool. And at the end, they figure it all out. They work it all out, with the Orion science vessel, and it explains everything that goes on in the future. I like that they acknowledge that there is some hero worship, but also that in the future things are better because of what these people did in the past, and that maybe they learned something, maybe they exchanged something, and just that kind of that parting looks between Boimler and Mariner, and with the Pike and the crew. I thought it was just really cool. Just if we have to have a fan servicey episode, this is the sort of fan servicey episode I want to see, and also to see like the joke at the end, like the lower decks humor with the crew of the Enterprise drinking the Orion alcohol that makes them see in 2D. Love that. So all around, I think this is a great episode. It really kind of, I wouldn't say it's on the greatest episode of Star Trek, but if you're a fan of these two shows, this mashup absolutely worked. Just very funny, had all the spirit of both shows in spades, and I just really loved it. So anyway, what did you guys think about this episode? What did you think about what I had to say? Get down to the comment section, leave your thoughts there. And of course, you can always hit me up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com, or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. And while you're down there, do me a favor, hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. All that good stuff helps to grow this channel and helps more people to see these videos. All right, thanks for joining me. Come back next week. I'm going to be reviewing the 8th episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Until then, I've been Mo, your comment extraordinaire on all things pop culture, and I'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.